You're listening to Keith Sports News. Why, hello there. How's everyone doing? Welcome to episode 2 of Keith Sports News, or KSN. That's right, I am back out here. As you can see, Santa has arrived at the house. Christmas is only a few days away. That's right. So this is episode 2, recorded on a Sunday, but you will be seeing this on a Monday. Okay? I'm going to try and do these episodes, record these episodes a day in advance, and then have them ready the following day. So if you haven't seen episode 1, I basically kind of talk about at the beginning what this channel is about, how it's going to work. But yes, 2 episodes a week, every Monday and Friday. Because Mondays and Fridays are the 2 biggest days in sports talk, because they talk about before the weekend and after the weekend. Well, it is after the weekend. So I'm going to talk about what I saw, what I know, on what happened this past weekend, okay? Alright, so the episodes will be, 25 to 30 minutes, but in the future, some episodes could be longer, depending on how much there is to talk about. Alright, the shirt that I'm wearing, it's actually a Mickey Mouse Disney shirt, and it says 2017 on it. Yeah, I actually got this shirt Christmas of 2017, which is crazy. And it has a back to it, so I'll get up. If you're watching the video, I'll get up and turn around so you guys can see the back. So, the reason why I'm wearing that shirt is because, it is the holiday season. Mickey Mouse, Disney, they're big on Christmas, and the past few nights I've been watching like old Mickey Mouse. And it's kind of like a tradition that I do during this time of the year. It's like old Mickey Mouse cartoon. It's pretty fun to watch. So yeah, I can't believe Christmas is coming up really fast, and I'm not even ready for it. But oh well, you can't control time. Time controls you, just like sports. So let's talk about sports, shall we? All right. So the big thing that I think our neighbor's having a party. I don't know if you hear that. But the big thing that happened over the weekend was the college football playoff. The first year with the 12-team playoff format. Okay? Oh, I forgot to mention. What are we going to talk about? Well, that's the main thing that we will be talking about. And we'll also get into the National Football League, mainly their schedule. I'm going to talk about how ridiculous their schedule is, in my opinion, so we'll save that for later. All right, the college football playoff began on Friday night. So I'm going to talk about the 4 games that happened over the weekend, beginning with the Friday night game. The first round game, which was Indiana against Notre Dame in the first round. Alright. So, by the way, this music that I'm playing, it's one of my favorites. It's on NORAD Track Santa. Because, quick story, on my main channel, every year on Christmas Eve, I do big streams of me tracking Santa. Yes. It's a tradition. So, yes, I do have a main channel. You can go ahead and check that out. It's mainly vlogging and gaming, which is why I decided to separate this on a different channel because this is mainly a sports talk channel. Alright? So, let's talk about the 12-team playoff format. The games. The first one was Indiana against Notre Dame. Alright? And I don't know if I mentioned this. If I did, I'll mention it again. This is part of the Bowl Mania season. Okay? Every year, I would do a prediction video of all the bowl games. Okay? There's like 47 bowl games. And this year, which is like a record, and I did a video of me predicting the bowl games. However, in the playoff, I did a separate video of me predicting the playoff games, the 12-team playoff format. Alright? So, you can go ahead and check those videos out on my main channel if you want to. Okay? I don't know if I'm going to do sports prediction videos on my main channel or this channel, because those videos were on my main channel on the ESPN website, you know. So we'll see how it goes. This is only episode 2. My goal or my plan is to do this show for a whole year. So 1 year from now, or 1 year from episode 1, we'll see if the channel got any better or not. Who knows? Alright. But I did mention on my main channel that I'll be doing this on a separate channel. So, yeah. Okay. Now, let's talk about the playoff matchups. You know what? Let's play, since the music just ended, let's play the, if I can find it, just bear with me. Alright, let's play the ESPN college football intro music. Alright, there we go. Here we go. Let's talk about the games. So, first one, Indiana against Notre Dame. First time these two teams played each other was back in the early 90s, I think. So about 30 years ago, which is crazy. I'm going to tell you who I picked in these games and the amount of points. Alright, so I'm going to pull out my phone and I will tell you who I picked in these games. Alright, so this is a new era for college football, the first year with the 12-team playoff format. I picked Notre Dame to win. Most people picked Notre Dame to win, and they won pretty easily. Although the score is what was the score? 27-17. You're like, oh, they beat them only by 10 points. Well, they were pretty much dominating the whole game. But Indiana, they scored like 2 late touchdowns, and that's why the score was a little bit closer. But it was pretty much Notre Dame. So, I knew they would win. They are the much better team. And people are going to say that Indiana didn't belong in the playoff. The thing about Indiana is that they're in the Big Ten, Power 5 conference, but their schedule, they had a pretty easy schedule. There's a lot of bad teams in the Big Ten, and they pretty much played all those teams. They have one loss before the playoff, and that was against Ohio State. But I think this was like the best year in Indiana football history. So I picked I picked Notre Dame to win at 45 points. The confidence. I'm doing the ESPN Bowl Mania confidence. So the more points you pick for the games, the more confident you are. I was confident. I was super confident that Notre Dame would win. Alright? And the game was on ABC. College Game Day, TV show, they were at 2 games. The one in South Bend, Notre Dame, Friday night. And then the following night, they went to Columbus, Ohio. Look, the Christmas lights have turned on. That's right, automatic. I mentioned that I was going to show you some of these lights in this episode. Why not? All right. Now to the 3 Saturday games. The first one was SMU against Penn State. All right. Now, this game was on... I can't find the game on my list. Where is it? Where is the game? Okay, I found it. This game was on TNT, which is strange. So, because there's never been college football games on TNT. That's why I find it strange that TNT was broadcasting that game. And when I first found out, I'm like, who are the announcers going to be? Is it going to be from the CBS broadcast? Because TNT, CBS, TBS, and True TV, they're all part of Turner Sports or TNT Sports. I think that's what they call it now. But you know, for March Madness, college basketball, it would always be on one of those 4 networks. So I'm like, oh, I guess the CBS announcers will be broadcasting it. But no, it turns out there's 2 games on TNT, and both games were an ESPN broadcast. But the game was on TNT. I find that weird, but let me tell you. So you're probably wondering, well, why wasn't the game on ESPN or ABC? Well, let me tell you what they were showing on ESPN and ABC during those 2 games. All right? So it's from first game's at 11 a.m. Central. The second game was at 3 p.m. Central. Both of those games were on TNT. So what were they showing on ESPN and ABC from 11 a.m. to 6:30 Central? Well, on ESPN, they were showing college basketball on both ESPN and ESPN2. Okay? On ABC, however, they were showing a different college football games. I think it's the FSC something championship game. It's from like a different divisional level. They were showing those games on ABC during the 2 games on TNT. That's kind of weird that they would have those games on at the same time. But I guess I have no choice, you know, because there was a playoff game on Friday night, but then you have 3 on Saturday. And then, of course, you don't want to do it on Sunday because that's NFL day, you know? So, very strange, but it was an ESPN broadcast. It had the same graphics, same scoreboard, or score bug. Yes, they debuted a new score bug, which I figured they would. I like the score bug, and I'm one of these guys that talks about the graphics and the score bugs on the networks. I don't know. That's just me. I've always got into the graphics and the score bug, but I do these new score bug and graphics. I really do like. All right. So the first game on Saturday, the second game of the playoff, was SMU against Penn State. I had Penn State winning. I put them at 39 points. I was really confident. And they crushed SMU 38-10. And now people are going to say, oh, SMU, they didn't belong in the playoff either. So what if Alabama or Miami were to play Penn State? Okay, they may not crush them, but I think Penn State they probably would still beat Alabama or Miami. This is the problem that people have of this playoff. No matter what they do, people are unhappy. The second game, or the third game, this is the one that I was looking forward to the most, and that was Texas against Clemson in Austin. This game, I had Texas winning at 22 points. So only 9% picked Clemson, according to the votes. I was kind of surprised because more people picked Indiana and SMU than Clemson. Let me see here. Indiana. The percentage that the people picked Indiana was 22. For SMU, it was 16%. Clemson only 9? That's surprising. Yes, I know they're the lowest seed in the playoff, and I know a couple weeks ago, everyone, including myself, counted them out of the playoff, but a door opened for them, and they got in. And the reason why this game wasn't one of my highest confidence was because it's hard to count out Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers. So, this game, I watched the first half on TV. The second half, I listened to it on radio because I was actually doing my late Christmas shopping. So, I was doing my shopping while I was listening to the game, and I do like listening to some games on radio. So, they're really fun. I listen to it on the ESPN app, which is free, so that's great. And Clemson, they scored a touchdown first. I remember that, and they took their time. It was a long drive, and then Texas got the ball, and then they scored 2. And then there was like only 2 minutes left in the first quarter, so both teams scored long drive touchdowns. And then in the second quarter, Texas was in the driver's seat. And then in the fourth quarter, Clemson kind of came back, but Texas won the game by a score of 38-24 by 2 touchdowns, and they will be advancing. They will be going back to Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, where they just lost to Georgia in the SEC championship game. And then the final game was a huge matchup between Tennessee and Ohio State. These games were freezing cold. This was the coldest game. It was like 20-something degrees, freezing cold. And this game, I picked Ohio State to win at a very high confidence as well, at 36 points. I'm like, I know Tennessee's a good team, but the game's in Columbus. I'm just like, I'm very confident Ohio State would win this game. Because if they were to lose this game, I think Ryan Day, their head coach, would have been fired. So, I'm glad he's not fired. And I think based on their performance, they won this game easily by a score of 42-17. It wasn't even close. I didn't thought it would be a beatdown like this, but Ohio State woke up. 63% picked Ohio State and 37% picked Tennessee, so it's a little closer, but a lot more people picked Ohio State because the game was in Columbus. If the game was in Knoxville, Tennessee, then I think the game would be much closer. Tennessee might win. So, home field matters. And Ohio State, they will be going to the Rose Bowl and will be facing Oregon in a rematch. That is perfect. That will get huge ratings in Pasadena. So, I think Coach Day's job is safe because I don't want them to fire him. I've always liked the guy, so... Because if they really fired him, I guarantee you some team will snatch him immediately. I can't snap, but you get the picture. So that was the big thing that happened this past weekend. After the last game ended, I watched Sports Center with Scott Van Pelt, SVP. He's like the best. He's really good. On big nights like this, if he's on, I would watch him. Okay. Then after him, I would watch TSN Sports Center, which is the Canadian Sports Center of their network. And then after that, I would watch SEC Football Final on the SEC Network. And the guys, the guys on that show, they were actually at the stadium in the freezing cold weather. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe these guys, they're out there, you know. So yeah, are people going to say Tennessee didn't belong in the playoff either? You know, come on now. So, it is what it is. Okay, so, yep, if you're watching, it's getting dark. That's why I'm recording this as soon as I can. We have about, 10 minutes left? Just about, before we hit the 30-minute mark. Alright, so now we're going to get into the National Football League, based on what I just saw here, and I know I'm recording this on a Sunday, so currently there are some NFL games happening right now, as I speak. Okay, so, let's play my favorite NFL primetime music. It's one of them here. Oops. Excuse me. While I get this ready here. Alright, it's ready to go. So just please bear with me here, because I know this is only episode 2 here. Alright. Alright, here we go. Oh yes, you hear those horns? You hear this on NFL Prime Time with Chris Berman, one of the best ever to do it. Alright, so the main thing that I want to talk about in the National Football League is the schedule. Especially this past weekend, or this weekend. Their schedule is kind of ridiculous in my opinion. So they had, every year around Christmas, they would have a few games on that Saturday, which they did. There was 2 games this past Saturday, and they were during the college football playoff games. And these 2 games were big matchups. I didn't watch them because I was more into the playoff instead. But these 2 matchups were big games. The first one was the Houston Texans against the Kansas City Chiefs. That was at noon Central. And then the second game was at 3:30 Central between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. Those are 2 big matchups. And I don't know when they started doing these Saturday NFL games, but when I first started watching it, I believe they had games on Saturday back then during the holiday season. So it's weird. You have NFL and college football playoff at the same time. You know, it's really hard to compete against the NFL at this point. You know, it is what it is. So, but maybe that's why the college football playoff should be 8 teams instead of 12. Because I've been saying this for years, back when it was 4 teams. It should be 8. Why are you going to 12? You know, and then you got these first round games on campus. I get it, but in the freezing weather, I don't know about that. You know, why not go to 8 first and then 12? You know, you're going from 4 to 12 after having 4-team playoff format for 10 years straight. That kind of bothered me, but they're doing it because of the money. Everything nowadays for sports-related programming is about the money, TV money. It makes sense, you know. I get it. I understand why they're doing it like that. But it's hard to compete against the NFL. These 2 big Saturday matchups were big. And what I don't understand, another stupid thing about this schedule is that the Sunday night game was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Dallas Cowboys. Why is that a Sunday night game? And here's another stupid one. Monday night game. Tonight's game is the New Orleans Saints against the Green Bay Packers. Why on earth is that Monday Night Football? The Saints are a bad team. They're 5-9, and they're going to Lambeau Field in the freezing cold. That's torture. That is torture. let me tell you, the Sunday night game could have been the Houston Texans against the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Monday night game could have been the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Baltimore Ravens. That would make more sense. But no, these two night games are not intriguing, in my opinion. I'm not going to be watching them. I really don't care. And also, there's a game happening right now as I speak, but by the time you listen to this, it already ended. You know how every Sunday you have the noon games and then the 3:25 games Central Time? Well, one of the 3:25 games was the New England Patriots against the Buffalo Bills. Why is that a 3:25 game? Why is that a late afternoon game? That could easily be a noon, 1 o'clock game. New England sucks. They're a bad team. I don't understand that, but hey, CBS said so. The schedule, the NFL schedule, is kind of ridiculous sometimes, and I would hear people talk about this schedule sometimes, especially because I listen to a lot of sports talk radio, and one of the guys on there is Christopher Mad Dog Russo. He's kind of like me when it comes to talking about how ridiculous the schedule is sometimes. Here's a perfect example. In my opinion, the worst schedule in sports history was back in March Madness. I believe it was the Elite Eight, the final 8 teams. So if you watch March Madness, you know how they're all at a neutral arena, okay? There's no home team, no away team. Well, you got 2 games. I believe it was on a Saturday or a Friday, but you got 1 game on the East Coast and 1 game on the West Coast. So you think the East Coast game would start first because both games are on the same network. No. The West Coast game started first at like 6 p.m. Central, so it would be 4 p.m. Pacific. Then the second game would start at around 8:45. Well, that's the East Coast game, which means it was at 9:45 Eastern Time. That is ridiculous. That is like the worst sports schedule I've ever seen or I've ever heard in my life. That makes 0 sense. You have to have the East Coast game first. And I think the reason why they did the West Coast game first and the East Coast game second was because I think the East Coast game was a bigger matchup than the West Coast game. But still, you gotta have the East Coast game first. It's stupid. So sometimes when I look at these sports schedules, some of them just doesn't seem right. And that, a perfect example, the Sunday night and Monday night games, those games should be a Sunday afternoon game. Especially, here's another stupid thing. The Green Bay Packers are in another night game. They're in their 4th night game in a row. Go back to Thanksgiving night. They were in the Thanksgiving night game. The following Thursday night, they were in that game. And then they were in a Sunday night game, and then now they're in a Monday night game. What are y'all doing? What are they doing? If it was the Kansas City Chiefs, okay, yeah, back-to-back Super Bowl champions going for a three-peat. I mean, yeah, Green Bay is a pretty good team, but they're playing against a 5-9 Saints team. That's pathetic. You have that game at night? Let me see what the weather's like in Green Bay. Oh yeah, ESPN, they would always have this matchup predictor. Green Bay Packers have an 82.1% chance to win tonight's game. Oh, it's 30 degrees. No need to watch that game. Just pathetic. Okay, guys, we are about to hit the 30-minute mark, so I'm going to get on out of here. It's getting dark, and it's also getting kind of chilly out here as well. So, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and I'll be back on Friday to talk about this weekend's big games. Mainly football, because holiday season, big football weekend. And yeah. All right, folks. I'm also getting hungry, so this is a perfect time for me to stop this video. So thank you for listening or watching. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. And also, let's this music is coming to an end here, right? Yeah, it is. Okay, now let's play that awesome music, this hunting music here, to letting you know that I'm about to head on out of here. We thank you for watching. See you next time on KSN. Thank you for listening to Keith Sports News.